is happening. Um, it sounded very sad, um, but it is sad. Let me see if the optics change. Okay, I think it looks a little bit better like this. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I actually should have done this a little bit earlier on, but I had a couple of things to do, so I was like, I'll do it a little bit earlier. I'll do it a little bit later. I almost didn't do these upset predictions. Like I think my live videos since I've started the watch along, I feel like I've become a little bit lazy, um, which is not good. But the upset predictions are very important, not just to you guys, but to me as well. It helps me enhance my knowledge of the sport. So the more research I do, the more I know about it, each and every particular fighter. So it makes it easier to actually predict fights, right? So it's important, even for breakdowns. Um, I apologize for coming in late. Usually late for an upset prediction live. Unusually late. Yeah, man. I the to be honest, my niece wanted to play and I couldn't shake her off. Like she was crying and I was like, you know what? I'll do it a bit later on. But I mean, I couldn't just not do the upsets predictions, right? Short McGee, I feel this card will have a lot of upsets in this card, a lot of close matchups. Yep, I fully agree, especially considering me and the subscribers disagree on a lot of fights. Because of that, man, I think there are going to be a lot of upsets. I'm worried. I'm worried about my picks. Um, because whenever me and my subscribers disagree, sometimes I'm right, sometimes the subscribers are right. So my heart is a little bit at ease whenever I feel like, okay, my subscribers and I disagree on one or two fights. But you know what? I'm very good at predicting fights, so may the best predictor win between me and my subscribers because that's my only competition. Rene the Rizzler, I can see a few upsets happening. Yeah, I'm also worried. I don't want to lie. Let's get to the upsets predictions. Um, let me see. I'm using my laptop today. I didn't print out any papers. Quinlan Sal Kid versus Anshul Jubilee. My subscribers and I went with Quinlan. Quinlan is the favorite at -410, and Anshul Jubilee is the underdog at +320. Do I think an upset is possible here? You like Anderson Silva? Yeah, I like Anderson Silva. So, do I think an upset is possible here? Here's the thing, right? I'm obviously going with Quinlan Salkild. That's right. Jimmy on the source after the fake retirement. Okay, guys, I need to get through this. Otherwise, we'll be here the whole night. So stop saying things in the comment section. Maybe, but I don't see a significant enough change in his physique. So here's the thing, and I think a lot of the people who watch my live streams will know exactly what I'm about to say. I picked Salkid Quinlan. Let me just use his first name. I picked Quinlan largely because I feel like he's the better fighter. On the feet, I think the fight will be evenly matched. On the ground, I think Salkid will probably do significantly well. Right. My biggest issue with Quinlan is that he's untested in the UFC. I know a lot of people say Anshul Jubilee is trash and all these type of things, and I always say that the people are misguided. People are misguided about this particular thing. I think Anshul Jubilee is actually a really talented fighter, and I'm a little bit worried. because unfortunately, even though Anshul Jubilee has not had that many fights in the UFC, I still feel like he's a really, really, really good prospect. Um, and on the other hand, Quinlan has never really actually faced a UFC level fighter, so it really, really concerns me, to be honest, about as far as the striking. I think it'll be evenly matched. As far as the grappling, I think Quinlan is going to do significantly better. But because of the lack of experience, I think I'm going to say an upset is definitely possible here. If Quinlan had had a couple of fights in the UFC, I think I would have said, we love her, bro. So if Quinlan had a bit of fights in the UFC, I'd say, well, I think Quinlan is going to win definitely. I still feel that way, but I think had he had a couple of fights in the UFC, I would have been like, 100% Quinlan is going to win, right? So because of the fact that he is a bit fairly untested in the UFC, I'm going to say an upset is definitely possible here. Um, because despite the fact that a lot of people feel like Anshul Jubilee is trash or whatever the case is, I think Anshul Jubilee is a decent prospect, you know. So I don't agree with a lot of people that is trash, but I think Quinlan is going to win, but I'm not very confident in that pick. Um, Purely because of his lack of experience in the UFC. Um, On to the next one, Jonathan Mikalev versus Kevin Josed. My subscribers and I went with Kevin Josed. Jonathan is the underdog at plus 200. Kevin Josed is the favorite at minus 240. Do I think an upset is possible here? I don't know. I don't think so. I think. Uh, I don't know. The ways in which I feel like Jonathan should win would require him to be on the ground, in all honesty. And I don't think it's going to get there because I feel like Kevin Jousset has a little bit of experience on the ground. He has a bit of grappling, so I don't think it's going to be very easy to get him there. I mean, Jonathan, what do you call him? Yeah, Jonathan is not that great at taking people to the ground, so obviously I don't feel like it's going to happen on in this particular fight. On the feed, I feel like Kevin Jousset is going to outclass him in every way possible. I think Kevin Joseph is the better striker, both offensively and defensively. He also has the reach. So I honestly don't see Jonathan winning, but you know what? It's MMA. Anything can happen. So do I think an upset is possible here? I mean, Kevin Joseph trained with Israel Adesanya, and I know Israel Adesanya has been losing, but it's largely because of the fact that he's past his prime, unfortunately. And even in my breakdown, when I was breaking down the fight with Nassourdine Imavov, a lot of people were saying, "Well, he's going to lose." Like the comment section is always crazy when I pick fights. They're like, "Yeah, Imavov is going to lose." Israel Adesanya looked incredible, and I was like, "No, actually, Nassourdine Imavov was one of my locks last week. And I was like, nah, man. Israel Adesanya relies a lot on speed, and at the age of 35, that's no longer there, which is basically the foundation of everything that Israel Adesanya does, right? And I picked him up of last week, and people were calling me crazy, and he actually won definitively. I didn't expect a knockout, but I expected that if Mavov should actually win, and he actually did. That's because Israel Adesanya is past his prime. I still think Israel Adesanya is good, so I feel like Kevin Jose had the training at that particular gym and is still within his prime. I think he's going to do decently well. It's hard for me. I want to say an upset is not possible here. By the way, guys, I do live watch alongs. Ask some of the people in the comment section who are busy going crazy because they're having their own conversation and I'm busy predicting fights here. So yeah, join me for the watch alongs. Anyway, let me get back to the fights. So a part of me wants to say an upset is not possible, largely because I feel like Kevin Joe said obviously is going to be better as far as striking goes. I think he's going to be better defensively as far as grappling. I don't think it's going to be easy for Jonathan to get him to the ground. Especially and also the mere fact that Kevin Josette also trains with the likes of Israel Adesanya. I think it's going to give him a significant advantage. I don't know, man. I just don't feel that thing from Kevin Josette. He hasn't impressed me yet. Um, I mean, he's worth the risk in my opinion, but I'm not impressed as yet by him. So because of that, I'm going to say an upset is possible, but I might change my mind when I give you my locks on this particular card. It depends on how horrible it gets as I go up on the card. So my opinion might change, but yeah, for now I think I'm going to say an upset is definitely possible here. Not definitely. You know what? Nah, I don't think an upset is possible. Let me not lie to myself. I don't think an upset is possible. Um, I'll get to Strickland. I'm still at the bottom. I'm still in the prelims right now. So yeah, I think I'm going to say an upset is not possible here. I wanted to say an upset is possible, but I mean Kevin Josette has had a couple of fights in the UFC, more than Jonathan. Kevin Josette is training from a superior gym. Like there's a couple of things that makes me. I don't think an upset is possible. Anyway, so yeah, that's my opinion. My subscribers and I went with Kevin Josette. On to the next one. Rongzhu versus Cody Steely. My subscribers went with Cody Steely. I went with Rongzhu. Rongzhu is the underdog at plus 195, and Cody Steely is the favorite at minus 240. Do I think an upset is possible here? I mean, obviously, I'm picking Rongzhu. Not very confident. Yeah, this fight, honestly, for me, is a coin flip. Striking wise, I feel like it's going to be evenly matched, with a slight advantage going to Cody Steely. And on the ground, I would favor Rongzhu, right? So, yeah, it's honestly difficult to predict this fight because I get why a lot of people are picking Cody Steely, but for me personally, I'm going to favor the guy who has a bit of experience in the UFC, who has, in my opinion, the grappling advantage. People might disagree with me on that, but I feel like um, I took Steely. Don't scare me. I mean, for me, it's a coin flip, guys. I don't want to lie. I could be wrong, you know. I do get some fights wrong, but I'm going with Rong Zhu. But like I said, I'm not very confident in this particular pick. It's a coin flip for sure. It could go either way, so stay away from this one. Tweezy, I don't know what you're doing picking this particular fight. Why take such a risky fight and put it in your bets? Like, ah, anyway, on to the next one. So an upset is definitely possible. I think Gronzu versus Cody Steely is the fight to stay away from. Like, it's not worth it. On to the next one. Colby Thickness. When I saw this name, I laughed a little bit. But that's probably why he's a professional fighter. I'm sure he was bullied a lot because of his surname. What kind of a surname is Thickness? Anyway, Colby Thickness versus Alexander Tupori. We'll see, Twizy. We'll see. We'll see, my guy. So Colby, there isn't a lot of information about these two fighters. Alexander Tuporia has 100% finishing rate. Okay, I'm doing things wrong. Colby Thickness versus Cody Thickness versus Alexander Tuporia. My subscribers and I went with Alexander Tuporia. Thickness is the underdog again at plus 320. And Tuporia is the favorite at minus 410. Um, Colby Thickness um, is ranked number one in Australia, and yeah, he has some competition. So, and then Alexander Tuporia is ranked number 135 in Europe Western. Like that's honestly interesting. Because if you follow my channel as well, I always say that when I look at your ranking, I don't look at it as who are you ranked above. I view it as what level of competition have you faced. So the mere fact that in the regional rankings, Alexander Tuporia is still under 100 is very alarming for me. Kobe Thickness is ranked number one in Australia. That says a lot, right? Obviously, I don't know the regional scene in Australia, so it's kind of difficult for me to gauge. You know, you never know. Maybe the fighters in the regional scene that Tuporia has fought are significantly better than those that Kobe has fought in Australia. But this is a very, very alarming um, situation because if Kobe Thickness is ranked number one in Australia, it means he has beaten decent competition. Um, and if Tuporia is ranked 135, that's not good, man. That's not good. So, in terms of the regional scene, right? It's the same as what do you call him? That Kai Asakura fighting Alexander Pantoja, right? Kai Asakura was ranked number 58 worldwide, and Alexander Pantoja. Is it his name? I remember his surname. Let me just say Pantoja. So Kaya Sakura was fighting Pantoja, and I said the same thing. I was like, there's a reason that some people are ranked at the rankings that they have, right? I'm not very confident in Tuporia just because his brother is a champion and is busy knocking out legends. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to do the same thing. I mean, I think it was it Shawshot McGee. I think it was Shawshot McGee who basically, I think it was, yeah, I think it was Shawshot McGee who said the brothers of fighters have been very disappointing, and I concur. You know, if you look at, is it Junior Tafa? Like, if you look at all the people who came because of their brother, Walter Walker is terrible, but I mean his brother is not that great. Like all these people, look at Mohammed Usman is terrible, and his brother was really great. Like you can make so many examples of these kind of people who, um, the Burns brothers, Gilbert Burns is great, and then Herbert Burns is terrible. Like the brothers are never really as good. Obviously, I know that has nothing to do with training. Maybe Topuria is going to be different, but generally in the UFC, the brothers of people who are already in the UFC are commonly terrible, you know. Um, but maybe this Tuporia will be different. Maybe Alexander Tuporia will be different, but it's very alarming. So it's very alarming to see that Tuporia is ranked number 135, whereas Thickness is ranked number one. Right, and I know Thickness is coming in on short notice, but this is a recipe for disaster. I picked Topuria. I have my reasons, you know, based on my analysis. My analysis says to Poirier, but it was significantly close. I don't want to lie. I almost went with Kobe Thickness, but my analysis was like, nah. Even if it's by a small bit, it still went with what do you call him? Tuporia. I'm not very confident. I think Tuporia is going to lose. In all honesty, I could be wrong, but I'm sticking with Alexander Tuporia. But an upset is 100% possible here. His one time leaving the first round, he guessed bad. That's my worry. Yeah, man. Like there are a couple of red flags about Tuporia, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see, man. But the ranking difference is very alarming for me. Um, we will see though. We will see. I risk it thickness. Yeah, I mean thickness has the ability to actually get it done. To be honest, but to be honest, I don't feel like it's Sally. How are you, man? So I don't think it's worth it to be honest. Short. But if you want to, welcome from Turkey. So if you want to, little bros always let us down in the. Yeah, man. Like you can go through them. That's why I mentioned Mohammed Usman, Walter Walker. Just that none of their names like readily come to mind, but they hardly ever do well like whenever they come into the UFC. So if you want to risk it, then I mean you can go for it. But I have a sneaky feeling that Colby Thickness might actually get the upset. So an upset is definitely possible here. On to the next one: Wen Kong versus Bruna Brazil. My subscribers went with Bruna Brazil. I went with Wen Kong. Wen Kong is the favorite at minus 440. And Brazil is the underdog at plus 340. Do I think an upset is possible here? You know what? It's women's MMA. It's Wen Kong, so an upset is definitely possible. For the first time in my history, before I say this, I'm not going to say this because I'm bragging. I need people to understand that I'm good at predicting fights before I say what I'm about to say. My prediction accuracy is over 70% in 2024, right? It's over 70%. Now, let me proceed to what I want to say. For the first time ever, when I was doing my risky and safe predictions, I said Wen Kong was 100% safe, right? I've never, ever, ever in the history of my channel said Wen Kong is, or rather, I've never said anyone is safe in the history of my channel. And she actually shit the bed for a lack of a better word. She disappointed. I was so confident in her, man, and she basically let me down heavy. So, but to be fair to her, I feel like she was winning that particular fight. Um, and I think she was overconfident. I think she bought too much into her hype. She was drinking her own Kool Aid, and it almost suffocated her. So, are you guys trolling me? Like I can see when I shot McGee and when I Rizla, you guys are trolling me, like, with your 90,000% the safe. You guys are trolling me. I can see it. It's fine. That was crazy card. That was a crazy card, at least. Yeah. So Wang Kong is risky, but to be honest, I think she should win. She's going to be better striking. I think she's better defensively as far as grappling. She did the Anderson Silva special. So yeah, I think Wen Kong lost because she was overconfident. I think that loss humbled her, and I think she's going to come back a little bit more calculated. So yeah, I'd still say this fight is risky. I mean, Bruna Brazil train with the Fighting Nerds? Or am I wrong? Am I thinking about the wrong person? I think Bruna Brazil trains with the Fighting Nerds, so that actually worries me a little bit. But I still think Wang Kong is going to win this fight. I understand why people maybe don't have any faith in her anymore, but I still think she's a good fighter. She's one of the very few fighters in the women's roster that has the ability to finish fights. So yeah, yeah, Tweezy I think just confirmed it. So Bruna Brazil is training with the Fighting Nerds, and they've been doing really well. Obviously they have a couple, of people who are not doing so well. Yeah, man. I get that. So, an upset is definitely possible here. I went with Wencom. My subscribers went with Bruna Brazil. I guess we'll just have to wait and see who's right. On to the next one. Tom Nolan versus Vyacheslav Borshev. My subscribers and I went with Vyacheslav Borshev. When I was predicting fights, I was shocked. I was like, am I really going with Vyacheslav? But it seems like Vyacheslav is going to win. Tom Nolan is the underdog at plus 115, and Vyacheslava is the favorite at minus 135. Do I think an upset is possible here? 100%, yeah. An upset is definitely possible here. I think Tom Nolan has a bit of power, but I think striking wise, Vyacheslav is going to be a little bit better. However, we saw it in the fight between Michael Venom Page and Shara Bullet. Um, between I hear you, Rizla, but I'm a little bit worried, man. I'm a little bit worried. Victor Martinez KO, risky first round, but we good after that. Okay, we'll see. Teasy and Rizla are not having it today. Like, if you got dropped by Victor Martinez, then it's over for you. But back to Tom Nolan and Vyacheslav. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm not worried because despite the fact that you guys are trashing him, on what numbers, dude? But despite the fact that you guys are trashing Tom Nolan, I feel like as far as striking goes, I think Tom Nolan has reach, which might present a serious problem. I think Tom Nolan has a little bit more power than Vyacheslav. Vyacheslav is good offensively and defensively, but I think the power and the reach will give Tom Nolan some level of an advantage. And I know that the Tom Nolan is not MVP, is not Michael Venom Page, right? But I think one of the things that gave Shara Bullet an issue was because I think Michael Venom Page had a reach advantage. But obviously, Michael Venom Page has the ability. Um, yeah, both of them are chinny, right? But I feel like Tom Nolan has a little bit of power to actually get it done. Alex Reyes kills both. The things you guys say in the comments, anyway. So I'm honestly worried about this particular fight. But I don't know how it's going to play out, to be honest, because Nolan has the reach, Nolan has power, in my opinion. Vyacheslav has the technical striking abilities. So if Tom Nolan is able to use his reach effectively, we could see Vyacheslav having a serious problem. But in any case, my subscribers and I went with Vyacheslav, but I can honestly say this fight is 100% risky, and upset is definitely possible here. On to the next one. Jack Jenkins versus Gabriel Santos. My subscribers and I went with Jake Jenkins. Jenkins is the underdog at plus 190, and Santos is the favorite at minus 230. Do I think an upset is possible here? Slightly, slightly, not significantly, slightly. I think it's slightly possible. I think this fight is fairly straightforward. I think on the feet, Jack Jenkins is going to be better on the ground. I think Gabriel Santos is going to be better. So for me, I feel like if this fight stays standing, Jake Jenkins is going to win this fight. If he cannot defend takedowns, he's going to lose, right? So I think that's how I see the fight playing out for me. If Gabriel Santos tries to stand up and strike with Jake Jenkins, he's going to lose badly. Um, I mean, I think Jake Jenkins is better both offensively and defensively, and has power. Gabriel Santos has reach, but I mean that's all he has. So the best path to victory for Gabriel Santos is to take Jake Jenkins to the ground. Uh, Let me see, Shashwat Raj. When you pick an underdog in a matchup and say an upset as possible, do you mean that the underdog wins or lose? It means it's a coin flip, right? The underdog has the ability to actually get it done, and the favorite also has an. So for me, it's 50-50. So normally those kind of fights, I tell people just stay away from them. Do not. It's not worth it. So the point of me saying an upset is possible is to tell you stay away from it. It's not worth it. Sometimes there are times whereby I say an upset is possible because I feel very confident that the underdog is going to win, right? And in that instance, I normally do a recap of my predictions. Once I'm done breaking down the fights, what I do is I go back and I give you my locks. Last week's locks for me were Nassourdine Imavov. Can someone help me in the comment section? I forgot who else was my who. There was Terence McKinney, and then there's Naimov. Yes, those were my locks. Yes. So Nassourdine Imavov was my biggest. Like I was confident in Nassourdine Imavov that he was going to win, and I also picked Terence McKinney. I was also very confident in Terence McKinney, and I picked. I think was it Imavov, Mohammed Naimov. Yes, Mohammed Naimov. So all my locks won, right? So normally after I do these predictions, I give you my most confident picks, and last week all three of my most confident picks won actually. So in all honesty, there are very few fights that I feel very confidently about, and if I feel confidently about that particular fight, I'm going to tell you and I'm going to explain my reasons. So yeah, I think maybe I'll try to do that. Especially with big fights, I don't intend it, but the breakdowns come from out of nowhere. So I become a philosopher of fights. So I become a philosopher. Like I did the same thing when I was breaking down Kai Kara France versus what do you call him, Steve Erceg. I did the same thing when Robert Whittaker was fighting Hamza Chimaev. People were like, "Oh, Robert is going to beat him up," and I was like, "Really, dude?" In any case, so basically that's the summary. Let me proceed, and then I don't know if you have any other question, you'll tell me. So an upset is definitely possible here, which means it's a coin flip. Either of them can win this particular fight. Um, no, no, I was actually on Jake Jenkins. I don't know, man. I think Jake Jenkins is better. I'm surprised that Gabriel Santos is minus 230. I mean, if Jake Jenkins can defend takedowns, I don't think Gabriel Santos is going to win. Unless somehow Jake Jenkins does not have cardio and I'm not even aware of that. But if Jake Jenkins has cardio, there's no way Gabriel Santos is going to win unless he can successfully take him down. So, do I think an upset is possible here? Let me just say, yeah, yeah. Slight, it's not high, but there's a slight possibility. So, I'd recommend you stay away from it. Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado. My subscribers and I went with Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews is the favorite at 220, And Francisco Prado is the underdog at plus 180. Do I think an upset is possible here? How do the freaking know? It's not gonna happen. um, if I'm wrong, this is going to age very badly. If I'm wrong, this is going to age very badly. Like, it's not gonna age really well. But I don't think Jake Matthews is going to lose this fight. To be honest, I think Jake Matthews is probably going to be one of my locks for this particular card. So yeah, is there anything to break down here? I think Jake Matthews is going to beat this guy up, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. It just depends on where Jake Matthews wants to beat him up. I think. I think I think it's up to Jake Matthews to decide who he wants to beat up, or rather where he wants to beat him up, and just go there and do it. I don't think Jake Matthews is going to lose this fight. On to the next one. So an upset is no, it's not possible. I'm not. I'm confident that Jake Matthews is going to win this fight. On to the next one. Jimmy Crude versus Rodolfo Bellato. My subscribers and I, or rather, my subscribers went with Jimmy Crude and I went with Rodolfo Bellato. Jimmy Crude is the underdog at plus 120, and Bellato is the favorite at minus 140. Do I think an upset is possible here? Sadly, yeah. Jimmy Crude can wrestle a little bit. Um, I mean, Rodolfo Bellato, I mean, went into a war in his previous fight, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not missing anything. He had a really good fight, but he was being taken down, and that's not a good look. But on the other hand, I mean, Jimmy Crude has been off for a while. I don't know if it was injury or what, but he hasn't been very active. And he was never really that good. If you're really good and then you take time off, maybe it might work for you. But I mean, Jimmy Crude was never good to begin with. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. So I'd say just stay away from this fight, man. Um, I see chaos here. Like there's going to be a lot of chaos. Jimmy Crude can wrestle. Rodolfo Bellato has power. He has the reach advantage on the feet. Let me see. Obviously, I think Rodolfo is going to be better. On the ground, it's going to be Jimmy Crude. I'm not very confident in Bellato's ability to defend takedowns. So I'm just picking him because I think he has a higher finishing ability. I think he pressures more. As long as he can defend takedowns, which I'm not very confident in, I think he should win this fight. But also cardio, man, just stay away from this fight, man. To be honest, just stay away from this fight because an upset is definitely possible here. On to the next one, Justin Tafa versus Taliesin Texiera. My subscribers and I went with Taliesin Texiera. Um, Justin Tafa is the favorite at minus 155, and Texiera is the underdog at plus 130. Do I think an upset is possible here? I mean, of course, I'm picking the underdog, so an upset is definitely possible. But you know what? I don't think I don't think this fight is ever going to the ground, right? I was going to question my pick until I realized that this fight is never going to go to the ground. And despite that, the fact that I've seen a lot of my subscribers making the argument that, well, Justin Tafa has had a couple of fights, has had a lot of success with taller fighters, and the only example they give me is Austin Lane, as if Austin Lane is. I used to think Austin Lane could fight. Austin Lane is not good at fighting. Um, I don't know, man. I don't rate his win over Austin Lane that highly. Um, I mean, Austin Lane is a scrub, right? At the very least, I feel like Teixeira has some striking abilities. At the very least, I feel like between both Tafa and Teixeira, I think Teixeira also has knockout power. I think a lot of people are forgetting that, in their prediction about this particular fight. They're forgetting that the Teixeira has knockout power. It's not like it's Justin Tafa who's coming in there with knockout power alone. Both of them have knockout power. So I'm going to go with the guy with the reach advantage because he can lean back and throw without getting hit, whereas Tafa is going to have to jump in order to land. So if I'm going to pick who's going to land first, I'm going to go with the guy with the reach advantage, right? Because we all know that. Oh, another issue is that we all know that Tafa has one round in him, right? After the first round, he's going to start fading quick. And I'm not saying Texiera has cardio for days, but if it goes past the first round, then Tafa is finished. And once again, Austin Lane is not a good example to say Tafa has had success with taller fighters. Austin Lane is not that great of a fighter, and Justin Tafa is also not that great. Um, so I don't know, man. I think Texiera is going to win this particular fight. I think he's better as far as striking goes. If we eliminate power, because I think both of them have power, right? I think Texiera is better offensively and defensively. I think on top of the fact that he has the reach advantage and power, I don't know, man. Obviously, Texiera is not tested in the UFC, so you can make that argument. But I mean, Tafa is not that great, man. Like, how long has he been in the UFC? Is he even ranked? I mean, the heavyweight division in the UFC is not that deep. Like, why has he been in the UFC for so long and he can't even get ranked? I mean, Taito Ivasa is on a five-fight losing streak, and he's ranked. I mean, how terrible must you be in the heavyweight division to be in the UFC this long and you're not even ranked? And yet, Taito Ivasa on a five-fight losing streak is ranked. It means you must be really terrible in order to not be able to get ranked in the UFC heavyweight in the heavyweight division in the UFC. So I'm not gonna have that much confidence in Justin Tafa. Also, he's been getting injured with like cancelled fights. Like I don't have that much confidence in him, to be honest. I could be wrong, but there was a time when I picked Alexander Volkov, and people were like, "No, but again, Taito Ivasa is going to knock him out," and I was like, "No, he's not. He's not." And we all know what happened in that particular fight. So a lot of people have confidence in Justin Tafa. I don't have that much confidence. He might prove me wrong. Obviously, Texiera is untested in the UFC. But the fact that Tafa has been in the UFC for so many years, in the most shallowest division in the UFC, the heavyweight division, you don't have to do much to get ranked. Yeah, maybe I'm criticizing him. Maybe Justin Tafa is ranked. You guys can correct me. But if it's not ranked, it shows that he's trash. Like if you can't get ranked in the heavyweight division, then it means you're straight up trash. Because once again, Taito Ivasa is on a five-fight losing streak, and the guy is ranked. So you are terrible if you're not ranked in the heavyweight division. That's it. But do I think an upset is possible here? Only because Texiera is untested in the UFC, I'll say yeah. An upset is possible. Justin Tafa's experience with UFC caliber fighters might give him an advantage. So I'll say an upset is possible. On to the next one. Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez. Weili is the favorite at minus 120, and Suarez is the underdog at plus 100. My subscribers went with Zhang Weili. I went with Tatiana Suarez. Do I think an upset is possible here? 100%. I'll repeat my speech for those who don't follow me, for those who are new to my channel. Welcome. I have a 70% prediction accuracy in 2014. I apologize. I apologize. I'm proud of that because I work hard on my predictions. So to have 70% is incredible. There are cards that I get wrong. Like, don't get me wrong, but overall my predictions are pretty solid, right? So that means on average I get 7 out of 10. If you don't understand what 70% means, so that means on average my predictions I get 7 correct, and what do you call it, 3 wrong. So let's get to breaking down this particular fight. I wish I didn't do this late because I feel like there's a lot that I need to break down. But I still have. Let me actually try to charge this particular phone so that it doesn't. But it still has battery, right? Yeah. Let me just charge it for the sake of just to avoid. Okay. The charger is twerking, so let me just leave it there. Let's get to the fight. When when did what do you call her? What do you call him? Israel Adesanya lose his belt, right? Around the age of 34. I'm going to get to other elements of this fight. I'm just going to try and paint the picture. Alexander Volkanovski, around 35, 34. Kamaru Usman, 35, 34. Valentina Shevchenko, although she was able to regain the belt, but 35, 34. Amanda Nunes, I think she was around 33, 34, somewhere around that age. The point I'm trying to make is Zhang Weili is 35 years old in the strawweight division, a division that requires a lot of speed, right? That's number one. Number two, Tatiana Suarez. I, I think a lot of people have this mindset of invincibility of Zhang Weili, but in all honesty, I feel like she's looked very human in all her fights. It's only a couple of fights that I'm like, oh my goodness, she looks incredible. And I mean, she lost to Rose Namajunas twice. I mean, let me not say it like that, as if like I'm saying Rose is not great. But the point is, she lost twice. She got knocked out the first time and lost the decision, right? But let's actually break down this particular fight. The only way Zhang Weili is going to win this fight is on the feet. And even then, I don't think she's going to have that much of an advantage, because I'd say she throws a lot, but I think Tatiana Suarez is also good at avoiding getting hit, right? Tatiana Suarez chain wrestles heavy, which means she's going to have a lot of cardio. If you look at the fight between Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan, I feel like Zhang Weili was losing that fight on the feet. I mean, obviously, Yan Xiaonan is good. Like she's a good striker, but I feel like that fight was a little bit closer than it should have been. Even the fight with Amanda Lemos is the same thing for me. I feel like a lot of people are overrating Zhang Weili's striking because if you look at a lot of her fights, a lot of her title defenses, she's been using wrestling. To be honest, she's been using wrestling. When she took the belt from Carla Esparza, she used wrestling. When she beat Amanda Lemos, she used wrestling. When she beat Yan Xiaonan, she used wrestling, not striking. She wasn't doing that well in striking. and that's why she resorted to wrestling. In this fight, that's not gonna be an option. So for me, that was one of the main focal points. Number one, Zhang Weili is getting to the point whereby she's at the decline basically is starting. That's number one. Number two, people have an overrated idea of her striking abilities, which is average in my opinion. Obviously, she beat Joanna Jacek, and obviously Jacek had that huge thing on her head. But you're talking about someone who retired and came back and was basically close to being past her prime. So we're not talking about the Joanna Jacek who faced Rose Namajunas. Those are two different people that actually fought. That what do you call it? That Rose fought and that Zhang Weili fought. So for me, it's a couple of different things that make me feel like, you know what, even if Zhang Weili was not on the decline right now, because despite the fact that a lot of people might not agree, the fact that Zhang Weili is 35 at strawweight is a serious problem. Is a serious problem. If you don't believe me, look at what's happening to Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya still looks good. Like he still looks like a sensational fighter. He still looks good. Like he still looks like an amazing striker. But somehow he keeps losing recently. What's the difference between 3 years ago when he had the belt before he faced um, Poatan and now? The difference is age, to be honest. The difference has been age. Israel Adesanya was not losing fights. The only fight he lost was to Jan Blachowicz, and it was a decision. And Jan Blachowicz obviously had the size advantage. Israel Adesanya did not cut down. Israel Adesanya was not losing fights. And then 35, 34, 35 started to creep in, and then he started to lose, upset Sean Strickland. And then was it Sean Strickland? No. Then he was beating Alexander Alex Pereira. I mean, he was beating Alex Pereira, and then final round, which is a problem that I know Israel Adesanya has always had, but a lot of people haven't didn't identify. But maybe you can make the argument that, well, in that particular fight, Poatan was better. You can make that argument, but at the same time, Israel Adesanya was like 34, 35, somewhere there. So he was close to the decline, right? Kamaru Usman, pound for pound number one, he was dominating everyone. 34, 35, Leon Edwards knocks him out. It's not a coincidence, guys. And I'm talking about welterweight. When we go down even further, you find less and less success for champions. I'm not saying you cannot fight at a high level once you get to 35, but you cannot fight at championship level unless you are at light heavyweight or you are at heavyweight. Maybe middleweight then there, but light heavyweight and heavyweight, those are the two exceptions, right? Middleweight, more there and there maybe, but the lower you go in weight classes, the more speed means a lot. You need to be faster. You need to be faster at lower weight classes, and strawweight is probably the lowest weight in the UFC. So that's probably the one division that requires the most amount of speed that Zhang Weili probably won't have, right? Just to recap what I was saying, number one, Zhang Weili is at the age of decline, right? She's not going to get any better than she already was. There's no way we're going to watch Zhang Weili and we're like, oh my god, she's so improved. That's not gonna happen. Like that time has passed. Zhang Weili is going to look either the same she looked in a previous fight or worse. It's not gonna get better, unfortunately. Even though people think it's going to get better, it's not. Unfortunately, hate to break it to you, but Zhang Weili is going to. She's as good as she's going to be in her career. It's over. Even if somehow she wins this fight, which I highly doubt, she's not gonna look any better from now on. She's at the age where she's supposed to lose her belt very soon, and I think it's going to happen tomorrow. Number two, Zhang Weili has overrated striking. She's not a good striker. I'm just summarizing. I want to move on to the next fight. People are overrating her striking. Like I said, she wrestled Carla Esparza to win her belt. She wrestled Amanda Lemos. She wrestled Yan Xiaonan. So she's not a great striker. Whenever the last time she tried to strike with anyone, even to earn her title shot, who did she fight? I forgot. Who did she fight to earn the title shot? I remember it was before Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas had that boring fight. I can't remember who she fought. But if I'm correct, she also wrestled in that particular fight. So Zhang Weili has been using wrestling to make it seem like she can strike. But whenever she fought someone who could actually defend the takedowns, she got knocked out the first time, and then she lost the decision the second time against Rose Namajunas. So Zhang Weili is not a great striker, and I feel like Tatiana Suarez, even though I'm not going to say Tatiana Suarez has the best hands, between the both of them, but I don't think Tatiana Suarez is going to be outclassed on the feet. If the fight stays standing, obviously I might slightly lean towards Zhang Weili, but that's not what's going to happen. Tatiana Suarez's chain wrestling is going to play a significant role, but because it's women's MMA, I'm going to say an upset is possible. Well, obviously I'm picking Tatiana Suarez, and I think she's going to win, but I'd say stay away from it. Personally, I think Tatiana Suarez is a lock, to be honest. I don't want to lie. I think Tatiana Suarez is a lock for me, but I could be wrong. It's women's MMA. So I always say, even if I feel very confident, even if I say someone, a female fighter is safe, do not listen to me. These people will disappoint you. Like, you think Wen Kong is going to run through Fernandez or whatever her name is, and then when Kong gets finished and gets submitted, it's women's MMA, but I don't think it's going to happen to Tatiana Suarez. So for me, I'd say Tatiana Suarez is possible, is a lock, but because it's women's MMA, I'm leaving it alone. But even with the wrestling, before I move on, even with the wrestling, that Tatiana Suarez's wrestling gives me the idea that she's going to have better cardio than Zhang Weili. So, I mean, if you're confident in Zhang Weili, then good for you. But I don't think she's going to win. On to the next one. I remember whenever I go on these mini rants or deep dives, I don't know what to call them. I'm usually right. Whenever I do what I just did right now, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. I actually try to explain myself to justify my pick. And whenever I do something like that, I'm usually right. I did it with Hamza. I've done it with a couple of fights, and all the fights that I've done this for. Even with Bilal Mohammed, I was like, I'm not picking Bilal Mohammed. I remember I did a specific video, and I was like, I'm not picking Bilal Mohammed. But I'm telling you guys, I feel I go back. It's on the stream. So whenever I go deep into these kind of fights, I'm usually right, but I could be wrong. There's a first time for everything, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The main event, by the way, this card is so terrible. Like, it's terrible. Anyway, I think it's because they feel Dricus Duplessis and Shaw Strickland are stars, so they're like, they'll hold the card. So the main event of the evening, Dricus Duplessis versus Sean Strickland. Dricus Duplessis, my subscribers and I went with Dricus Duplessis. Duplessis is the favorite at minus 210, and Strickland is the underdog at plus 170. Do I think an upset is possible? This is going to be very difficult to actually call. Hmm. Because they're so evenly matched, man. Like they're really evenly matched. Just spoiler alert, stay away from this fight. I'm going to break it down, but just stay away from this fight. Here's my thing, bro. Dricus Duplessis has power, but power means nothing if the person that you're fighting has amazing defense. Even though Sean Strickland is one of the most boring fighters on the UFC roster, he has one of the most incredible defenses in the UFC roster. I cannot deny that. I cannot dispute that. I cannot ignore that. Sean Strickland has one of the best defenses. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how this fight plays out because I feel like they are so evenly matched. It's so hard, man. It's hard because I feel like Sean Strickland is good defensively and Dricus Duplessis is good offensively, right? So Strickland is good at avoiding getting hit. Duplessis is good at hitting you. Their reach is basically equal. It's the same. Obviously, Dricus has power, which gives him a slight advantage on the feet. On the ground, I think Sean Strickland has good takedown defense, but Dricus Duplessis shoots a lot of takedowns. So he's relentless. So he can get you tired trying to get a takedown. And the last fight was close, man. The last fight was close, but I heard Sean Strickland. I think the fact that people are calling Sean Strickland boring, and the fact that it has been trending that he says we're going to go to war and bleed for you guys and all these type of things, and then he tips and jabs. I think it's annoying Sean Strickland. And in one of the interviews, I saw and I heard him say he's going to have to pressure and fight a bit more recklessly in order to have a chance at winning because fighting the way he normally does has not worked. I don't know what the outcome of this will be because this might mean Sean Strickland is going to be a little bit more reckless, opening himself up to get hit and potentially finished. Or Sean Strickland will have his defense to rely on, and it's going to help him in order to get close to Dricus Duplessis in order to do damage. So I think the deciding factor in this particular fight for me, it comes down to whether or not Dricus Duplessis can take down Sean Strickland. Because on the feet, I think they are going to be evenly matched. That's why the previous fight played out the same way, the way it played out. Because one is good at avoiding getting hit, and the other one is good at hitting people. So they somehow cancel out each other, and it ultimately becomes like an even match. That's why even people still today, there are people who still believe that Sean Strickland won. I think Dricus Duplessis won, but there are still people who believe Sean Strickland won. So because of that, I think Dricus Duplessis needs to try and take the fight to the ground. If he can successfully do that, then I think Dricus Duplessis is going to win. With that being said, this fight is flippin' risky. Stay away from it. Let me give you my locks so that I can go to sleep. Tomorrow, I have to now edit and do predictions for tomorrow. I'm so flippin'. I'm tired, guys. Whenever my channel gets monetized, guys, you guys need to become members because I want to be full time on this particular channel. It's close. I'm going to be monetized very soon, so you guys need to be members. I want to be full time because working a full time job and then coming and do this, it's killing me. So yeah, Let me give you my locks so that I can sleep and so that I can do the watch along tomorrow and not be too tired. So, who's my lock? Remember, I said I'd come back. I think I'm going to take Kevin Josette because I need to have at least three locks. I'm going to take Kevin Josette. I'm going to take Jake Matthews. Um, this is bad. Yeah, this card is going to have a lot of upsets. So I'm going to take Kevin Josette. I'll take Jake Matthews, and I'll take Tatiana Suarez. Let me see. Yeah, I'll take Tatiana Suarez. Uh, let me see. Isn't there anyone safer than Tatiana Suarez? Let me just check, guys, and just be sure. It means this is going to be a bad card, man. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, you can take Jack Jenkins, but because of the unknown wrestling element, I'm not sure, right? So I'm going to basically go with, yeah, I think it's going to be Kevin Josette. Um, yeah, it's going to be Kevin Josette, Jake Matthews, and Tatiana Suarez. I think those are going to be my locks for this particular card. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the watch along. I'll start with the early prelims up until the main event of the evening. I still have to prepare for the predictions tomorrow. Guys, I'm sorry for releasing the polls for voting for the prediction for the subscribers predictions. I apologize for releasing them a little bit late. I was under so much pressure. I'm pushing my law page on Facebook, so it has taken up so much of my time. I sincerely apologize for that. Um, I'll see you guys tomorrow during the early prelims. I need to rest. I need to work hard to do these predictions for tomorrow. I appreciate every single person who joined me live. Hope to see you tomorrow. Sorry for doing these so late, but I appreciate all of you for coming through. Um, I love all of you. Until tomorrow. See you tomorrow. If you're just logging in, guys, I'm done doing the abscess predictions. Join me tomorrow when I watch along. Basically, you can ask me whatever you want to. I'll have a conversation with you for 8 hours or however long it takes to watch the prelims, the early prelims, up until the main event. For now, I'm tired. I love and appreciate all of you. Until tomorrow, deuces.